tonight I haven't shared my list with Josh. Josh hasn't
Nope.
shared his list with me.
Nope.
I don't think there's going to be a ton of overlap, but there might be some. But that means that if we have games competing for lists, we basically have to make cases for why it belongs on our list, and the other person needs to give that to us.
That's true.
So, a little bit of drama,
yeah,
a
we'll
little
have
bit of
to.
tension.
We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. I will say that I also come to the table with a lot of honorable mentions.
I've
because
got a
this is a difficult
substantial
process.
number of honorable mentions as well, but still, like,
Do you want to run through yours first, or do you want me to give mine?
Well, how about I think what we ought to do is we ought to just
Go back and
alternate.
forth. Okay.
Go back and forth. So, do we want to start at the bottom or start at the top?
Start at the bottom.
Absolutely.
What's that?
That's what I was going to say. I think we should start at the bottom, but
tension will rise as we continue on.
Yeah.
Do you know how many honorable mentions you have?
I do not know how. Let's do the honorable mentions when we're all done.
Oh, okay. See, I thought we were going to start.
We'll run
with
through
those.
them. Well, let's run through them at the end, because if we need to dip into those, then we can just kind of like.
Gotcha.
Do you want to go first? Do you want to kick us off, or should I?
Sure.
Okay.
I'll kick us off.
So what's your number 10, buddy?
Number 10 favorite video game of all time is Yoshi's Island on Super Nintendo. So Yoshi's Island is one of the most creative games that I've ever played. I think certainly for its time, but I think it still holds up. It has great music. It has a fantastic hand-drawn art style that still to this day, it feels like they've tried, but they've never been able to replicate it. But just the sense of whimsy in the game, I love it. There's definitely an element of nostalgia. I grew up with this game, okay? And so this was one of my favorite platformers growing up, and I still to this day, I love every level. Feels like there's something new in it, and it's a fairly long game for a platformer like it is. It is not overly difficult. There is some challenge to it. However, once you start perfecting your way through the levels, you open up secret levels, and those are very difficult. So it does have a steep kind of difficulty curve towards the end of it if you want it. If you don't, you don't need it. So really, I guess, like in terms of pure just platformer games, as I looked at all the games in front of me, this is my favorite. There's another game on this list that still falls into that slightly, but it's a little different genre. But in terms of pure platformers, Yoshi's Island is my favorite.
Sick. Okay. My number 10 is Final Fantasy IX.
Nice.
I make no bones about the fact that I think this is probably the best Final Fantasy.
Okay.
Or it's hard to say that. I think it's like to me, because it's like, what's the best Final Fantasy? I don't know. That's a really weird question to wrestle with. But because it's like, what do you want? It's sort of, that's like, what do you want out of your Final Fantasy? To me, this is like the purest and best expression of what Final Fantasy can and should be. One, there's the whole thing that it's essentially supposed to kind of be a puppet show. Like that's like a lot of, like, the movement is very weird. The character models are kind of like a little bizarre. But that's because they're supposed to basically kind of almost be like marionettes. So like,
makes sense.
Yeah. So I think like the cast of characters is really pretty phenomenal. Like, it's very storybookish. There's some romance, there's some comedy, there's some weightiness. And I think it's just sort of like, it takes itself seriously, but not too seriously. Like, frankly, I think it's like, it just threads the needle perfectly in so many areas. And
Yeah.
I do think it's like it's sort of the most underrated out of 7, 8, and 9. 7 is, the one everybody knows and pays attention to, and like all the emo sad boys think Cloud Strife is just the coolest, even though the dude sucks and he's a loser. And Tifa and Aerith would have been better off recognizing that much earlier on. I said it and I meant it. Anyways,
So it's not going to be on your list?
no.
7?
Unless
not.
we generate lists of like games that I think are the worst.
Most overrated games.
Most overrated games. And 8 was just like 8's interesting, but it's like it's sort of its own spectacle and it's a hot mess. And I just think like 9 came out and it was I if I remember right, it was sort of towards the end of the PS2's or PS1's life cycle.
Yep.
Like because I think 10 came out either right around the same
after,
time or shortly after.
Yep.
And so it but I just think it's delightful. It's again, it sort of like threads it threads all these different needles where it's like there's weightiness to it, but it's not too heavy. It's just like I said, it's got romance without being saccharine and kind of like sappy and dumb. It's I don't know. It's cute, it's charming, I love the character design. I just think like it's one of those games that I I really hope, there's rumors that we're going to get some sort of remake of it. And I really hope that we do, that we get like sort of, it gets like a really classy remake treatment. Cause I'd love to see this vision, I think, more fully realized.
Yeah.
So that's my number 10, Final Fantasy 9. I think it's a
Yeah.
great game. And it's my favorite. It's probably hands down my favorite Final Fantasy. So yeah.
That's a great pick. That's a great pick. Final Fantasy 9 is fantastic. So for my number 9, moving forward here, I'm going to give it to Shin Megami Tensei 5. Okay. This is a personal top 10 list. Okay. I recognize that the game has faults. And well, even before I get to that, I've played a lot of Shin Megami Tensei games. I'm not, super hipster. I haven't played the original ones on Super Nintendo or anything like that. But I've played a ton of games in the series. And this one, it's the 5th mainline game, even though there's, dozens of different spinoffs. It is a throwback in a lot of different ways, but it's also a huge step forward in traversal in the world that it creates with its open level structure. And that just scratched an itch that I didn't even know I had. It is a difficult game, but it's not as punishing as previous games in the series. It actually took a lot of the kind of cheap death things away from a lot of the earlier games in the series. So your one hit kills or your spells that could do instant death, it pulled those out and instead just had different types for those. It's just a different type of magic basically in this one. So it does make it a bit easier. It's not as punishing as older ones, which is, a bit controversial for that. But I appreciated it. It made it for a slightly more streamlined experience. Because if you played a Shin Megami Tensei game, most of them require you to play the game the way the game wants you to play it. You're heavy on emphasis on making sure you hit weaknesses, that you're buffing, that you're doing these different things in order to get through the game. And I love when a game is confident enough to like force you to have to get good at it and not hold on to certain characters that you really enjoy, but continually fusing up better ones so that you can, get the attacks that you need to and things like that. So, I recognize that there are flaws with the game, particularly in its story. I haven't played the newer version of it. However, I loved my time with the game. And because of all that, because the mechanics are so solid, because of the traversal, I loved, like roaming around and fighting, new demons and getting them on my team and fusing new ones and all that stuff. I really love this game. And so it's my number 9.
Cool. Cool. My number 9 is, it's funny that you didn't call it this, but you kind of inferred that Shin Megami Tensei 5 is a bit of a flawed masterpiece.
Mm-hmm.
I would also say that my number 9 is a bit of a flawed masterpiece. And
okay.
I'm going to put Death Stranding Director's Cut at number 9.
Oh my goodness. Wow. Okay. All right.
I love this game. It was very much a slow burn up until the point where it wasn't. And there are definitely some pacing issues. There's some weird Kojima-isms. But the more I've sat back from this game, like, one, I love the gamification of all the systems, like the weird sort of like balancing act that you do, like in Traversal, and just how this game is so physics dependent. There were so many like cool moments. I mean, frankly, like I still remember the one time I climbed up a mountain that I'm pretty sure the game had, like, it's not the game was like, don't do this, but it's like, you know, I was just like, I'm gonna climb that mountain. Like, I was like, and it was it was almost this sort of like, almost like beating a boss kind of experience when I finally got to the top and was like able to like go down the other side, having endured it. It was like one of those, like, the dopamine hit. I think the music in this and the set pieces and everything else, they're just phenomenal. And again, like, I know that there are some qualms with like the narrative here, but I've sat back from this, and I'm not saying that those aren't unfair criticisms, but I'm starting to wonder, and I would need to play the game again and sort of maybe sit in it, but I'm wondering if it isn't almost more of a sort of Eastern versus Western style of narration, where a lot of times, like, if you look at like Miyazaki's work, right, like Spirited Away, Princess Mononoke, like, there's plot, but plot isn't really the point. It's almost these sort of like meditations on these ideas, and they sort of keep bringing up the story, like the point. Like, there's like these little like moral lessons, and they keep bringing those up in different ways and different angles. And I think that Kojima, what we're seeing, I think so. Some of the criticisms of like the game being sort of like not super coherent is that it's not super plot heavy, and that it is more of a series of meditations on connectedness and relationship. And that you sort of like, you're playing these little vignettes. And there is a theme, there is a story, there is a plot. But I don't think it's like the main point. And anyways, that's just sort of like my working theory. But I love this game, and it's just kind of a game that has sort of sat in the back of my head, and kind of, I think about it sometimes. I'm like, man, like, it was. Now, what I will specifically say is I'm saying the director's cut. I think the vanilla version, from what I've heard, the vanilla version, like, the pacing problems are even worse in the vanilla version, which is may explain some of your frustration, because I think that's the version you played. Where, and like, there were parts where I was like, yeah, you need to kind of pick up the pace here. And and that was, I was playing the more streamlined, again, the director's cut version of the game. But like I said, it's just one of those things where, like, I get why people don't like it. And it's definitely not a game for everybody, but it's very much a game for Nate.
Okay.
Wow.
No, I love it. I love how different our lists are. No, I actually love it because yeah, I have controversial games, and I feel like it's even more controversial if you could see my honorable mentions, the ones that I cut. So, no, I love that they're different.
Yeah. No, it's been pretty interesting so far.
Yeah. So I've got it number 8. My number 8 is Bloodborne. Bloodborne is, in my estimation, the best Soulsborne game. I've played all 3 Dark Souls games. I haven't played Demon Souls or, I guess it's just Demon Souls. I haven't played Sekiro, but I never finished Elden Ring. But Bloodborne is my favorite out of that genre, that style of game. It's not for everyone, okay? It's graphic. It's Bloodborne. You get blood splattered all over you. It's dark. It's gothic horror. It's cosmic horror. So if that offends your conscience, don't play it. Okay, right off the bat, very gory, very bloody. Um, I I don't think it's well. I was gonna say it's not gratuitous in the way that like Mortal Kombat is gratuitous, but it is gratuitous in the way of like, oh, this enemy is just a lump of mangled flesh, and every once in a while it'll explode and viscera, will just go shooting out of the side of its body. So I don't know the proper term, but it's very graphically. There's lots of gore, not in the way that necessarily makes you feel bad. It just makes you feel gross, if that makes sense. I don't know. Anyways, um, so it's not for everyone. I totally understand that. And the story is very cryptic as well. But the mechanical depth of the game with all the different weapons that you can have, the different styles, the different way that you play it between using your shotgun, using your weapons, switching out your weapons, using their different forms of the weapons. Um, it has a depth to it. And the emphasis of Bloodborne specifically over the other Dark Souls is the aggressive nature, the way the game wants you to attack aggressively and not the other Dark Souls games lovingly refer to as turtling, which I would do in the other Dark Souls games, where you'd get behind your shield just to learn the patterns of the enemy. This one pushes you, and I think the more that I think about it, the darkness, the horror of this game combined with its aggressive nature, um, it forces you to have to face your fears. In every Dark Souls game, you're gonna fight like a boss that's as big as a house, and it's gonna be scary, and you're not gonna know what they're gonna do and how they're gonna attack you. Bloodborne, as opposed to Dark Souls, instead of, okay, here's your shield, hide behind it for a little while, it's saying, no, there's this amazing, you can't even understand what you're fighting, but go do it. Like, run into the fray and fight and try your hardest and die and come back and do it again. And so I think it communicates even that idea of grit, of facing your fears over and over and over again. I think it communicates that actually better than the other Dark Souls games. While I still recognize it's not for everyone, it is my favorite. Number 8 for me is Bloodborne.
I'm glad Bloodborne made it. I debated whether or not I should put it on my list.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I like that game. I don't know that I would say that I love it. So I'm glad it made it on the
Cool.
list. Like,
Yeah.
that's cool. I don't know. I'm seeing like a weird parody here. Not parody,
Okay.
but parity.
Right.
Parity for the listener. Because my next game, and this is kind of like the popcorn version of that, but like this is in some ways like my Bloodborne. In
Okay.
some ways, it's Destiny 2.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Wow.
And what I would say, okay, is that it is a game that instead of like, it is kind of esoteric in the initial approach, right? There's a lot of like some of that is just because they've gutted the campaign, and there's significant parts of the game's history that are just like outside of like YouTube essays are completely inaccessible. So it's very like difficult for people to sort of be onboarded to that game. And I came to Destiny 2 late. I came even after they had vaulted all the Red War content, and Forsaken and all of that. So I came in kind of late, and I just remember immediately just sort of being impressed with like the physical, like the mechanics of the game, and just like how good it felt to shoot, and sort of the progression. And so it kind of became this game that, I mean, I'm playing it again, and there's a lot now. What I will say is, like, I think, like, the ceiling probably isn't as high as it is for Bloodborne, but I would say, like, top level play actually is pretty, like, it's pretty intense. It's pretty sweaty. And there's a
Mhm.
level of mastery that I think, like, the floor is pretty low, but the ceiling is actually, like, as far as just like learning how to play the game, but the ceiling is like fairly high. Um, and so it's a game that I have put over 1,000 hours into. Um,
Oh, man.
we opened up the episode when we were doing the XP share stuff. Like, I finally got the platinum, and that was actually like, I was like low key stoked. I wasn't like losing my mind, but I was like, holy crap, like it popped.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
I like, there was like one platinum that I really wanted, and I was like, no, I'm just probably never gonna get it. And anyways, um I love this game. In some ways, it is like big dumb fun, and in other ways, and it's just but it's not to say there are problems. There are problems with the way they monetize this game. There are problems with just, like, frankly, I think while Bungie, I'm going to say something that some people might not agree with me on, but they are allowed to be wrong. Uh, I don't think Bungie can tell a story, a really good story, to save their lives. And I think when they do it, it's sort of like they almost like do it by accident.
Hmm.
The vast majority of the content that I've played in Destiny 2 is like fine. There are two outstanding pieces as far as story goes, Witch Queen and Final Shape. I think like those are pretty excellent. But again, like part of that is um it's just like they just don't do a good job at like telling a coherent. And I think some of that is just, I think some of that is a result of the fact that it is sort of, it's supposed to be, it's a games as a service game. It's the perpetually online kind of stuff.
Right.
And I think part of it is like the model that they've used where they rotate content out. And I just think I but yeah, all that aside, I love that game. I love playing it. It's like, it's sort of, it's comfort food, but it's inaccessible comfort food. I don't know. Like, it's like, it's a game that I feel really bad recommending to anybody, because like I just know like the buy-in's going to be fairly, just even from a time, investment, is going to be substantial to really, but I think it's yeah, there's a reason I'm playing it again still. Um
Yeah.
so it really is like currently like it's, so my number 8 is Destiny 2.
Destiny 2. Nice. Nice. That's cool. I'm surprised to hear it just because it was never like huge on the list when it was top 100. So, but I can say the same for some of my games. But that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, it would. Well, I know. I think even thinking about the top 100, like, I just never felt good about advocating. Like, I love the game.
Yeah.
I love playing
Yeah.
it. I just never felt really good about like pushing it higher, because,
Right.
like, frankly, I don't think it, like, if you're doing like a top 100, it's not gonna be, and it shouldn't be in the top 10.
Yeah. Yeah.
It
Yeah.
it
But
probably shouldn't even be in the top 30.
mhm. But the personal lists, all bets are off. These are just
Yeah.
personally our favorite games. And here's one that you will probably disagree with, but don't care because it's my list. This is The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild is my number 7. And it really, this could be Tears of the Kingdom. However, when I sit down, when I think about it, Breath of the Wild created a world that I just wanted to be in. And I think more so than Tears of the Kingdom, I just wanted to be in that world. I love just roaming around because there were secrets under every rock, everywhere that you go. It's not a perfect game. I like how they do some things in Tears of the Kingdom better. But I really like this formula of Zelda, and I really just love, going around in that open world and finding, just exploring and finding new things. I remember specifically times when I was playing the game when I would just be driving, somewhere across town or something like that, and I'd look out and I'd see, a park or a field or something like that. And I was like, I want to just go explore there, thinking about the game, but like it made the real world more alive, if that makes any sense. Like I want to go out into the woods and just like have fun in the woods, use my imagination or whatever. Because it's something I've experienced
attack
in that game.
wildlife with weapons made out of saltines.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. Because otherwise, you'd be crazy. You'd be jailed if you used real weapons. But, yeah. And I mean, I was playing it, when my second kid was born. So there's some of that tied into that time. But it doesn't matter. That's why it's on this list, is because it just created a world that I love to be in and go back to. So Breath of the Wild is my number 7 favorite game of all time.
Frankly, I'm a little. The only thing I'm surprised is that feels like a little low to me. Like I know
You think
that
so?
I would have. I'm not surprised that it's on your list. I'm surprised that it's kind of that low.
Yeah.
So now you've got me curious about what's sort of up ahead.
We shall see.
And again, the weird parody here. This one, some people might like with what I'm about to say. Some people might be like, Nate, that's really low for you. But my number 7 is Hades.
Okay.
I love this game. I love Supergiant. I've loved all their games. I haven't played Hades 2 yet, but this game to me is the pinnacle of Supergiant, right? It's like the vibes, the music, the systems, the gameplay, like all of it. Like it just hammers it. It's like it is just an immaculate experience across the board for me. It's kind of like it to me. It's very much like one of those games. Like we talk about how like it's a game where I constantly was like, I need to go to bed, but it's like I'll do one more run. I'll do one more run.
Yep.
I'll do one more run. I'll do one more run. And then next thing you know, it's 3 a.m. and you're like, I hate myself. I'm an idiot. But I love Supergiant games. Again, like I love the art style. Darren Korb's music is just always such a treat. Yeah, and I think this was like the one that just like sealed the deal for me. Like I liked Bastion. Yep. I loved Bastion. I love Transistor. Pyre, I'm middling on. I know some people are like, oh, it's the best one. And I'm like, you're on drugs, man. There's no way. Like it's cool. It's like Oregon Trail meets like magical NBA Jam thing. I like Pyre a lot, and Pyre's got a great soundtrack too. But I think this is just Supergiant firing on all cylinders and just crushing it. And so, yeah. That's my number 7.
Hades, nice. Hades is on my honorable mention list. It had to get cut for my list. So what I had just like in my notes for Hades is that straight up, it's the best roguelite that I've ever played. It has an amazing, not only are the mechanics super solid, but the progression system or progression loop, because the game is so much deeper than it seems like on the surface. So once you start to realize the strengths and weaknesses of the different weapons and the different powers, it adds a whole new layer of strategy and potential exploits on top of the already like solid mechanics and the crisp and breakneck gameplay. So yeah, I love the game. It didn't make it into my top 10.
I'm so glad to hear that, because my only defense was like, I liked it first, Josh. Like,
yeah.
That was going to be my defense.
Right. I think I would have given it to you for that reason too, because you played it and loved it before I played it and loved it. So it is more of a Nate game.
I'm so glad that we don't have to fight over that one.
Because we might have to fight over some. Who knows? We'll see. Okay, so next up we're number 6. Okay, number 6 for me is Mega Man X.
Mm.
Mega Man X is this one's the one that I was talking about that was like, I guess you could consider it a platformer. It's a run and gun platform. It's a Mega Man game. So
It's
yeah,
an action
maybe.
platformer. That's how
Yeah.
I would like. It's much more about like the platforming is there,
Mhm.
but it's much more about like it is much more. It's just more action dependent.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, exactly. And you're relying more on multiple systems instead of just running and jumping. You're also
hmm
shooting and sliding and stuff like that. And that's why I love this game. I grew up on this game. I've had the cartridge since I was probably a preteen. Played through it a ton of times even when I was younger, but it still holds up to this day. It's my favorite Mega Man game in the entire series. All the spin-offs,
mm.
everything. It's also another fast-paced game, sort of like Hades. But it's also full of secrets in a way that you can't uncover it the first time that you play certain levels, and so it encourages going back. And then you go back, and if you've beaten certain bosses, then different areas are different because of the effect that it had on the world when you did certain things in other levels. At the same time, while there are all these things bubbling underneath the surface, it's also not overwhelming. It's what, 9 bosses, I want to say? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 bosses, and then your
hmm
final levels in fighting the big bads and stuff like that.
Sigma.
Eh, yes. And yes, it gets difficult for me because I played it so much. It's not very difficult, but I think it's the perfect little package. It doesn't try to be more than it has
hmm
to be. It doesn't add in, shops and extra items and things like that, but it does have a bunch of secrets that will genuinely help you as you play the game. Maybe not the Hadoken, but that's also a secret. You weren't really supposed to find it. It was more of an Easter egg than really
hmm
something that's supposed to be playable. Um, I yeah, I
But
I
it is
love
like it is really good. The
yeah.
the the
Yeah,
Hadoken
oh, the
is really
Hadoken. Yeah,
good.
yeah, yeah. It can be, yes, it can. Yeah, especially in combination with the energy tanks. If you refill your life, then you can use it again for sure.
hmm
I think it has a great selection of bosses. I love the bosses in the game, and even the abilities. They're mostly good in this game. So I love it. I think it's the
hmm
best Mega Man game, and it's my favorite. So Mega Man X
Yeah.
is my number 6.
Yeah, I remember playing that. It was either last year or the year before, and
Hmm.
just really being pretty charmed by it. Like one, like Mega Man X. Like, listen, I love OG Mega Man, but Mega
Hmm.
Man
Yeah,
X
yeah.
is just way cooler looking. Like Mega Man
Yeah,
X,
yeah.
and the
And
the
you
the
get the
sprite
different
work,
parts.
yeah, and the sprite work is like just
Yeah.
drop dead gorgeous in that game.
How
It's
did I not mention the music? The music is fantastic as
oh, the
well.
the
So
music
good.
is a rip. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
So that's a good one. That's a good one. My number 6 is Valkyrie Profile Lenneth. Okay.
okay.
This is like some
Okay.
deep cut territory. I mean, I've talked about
Uh-huh.
this game several times. Like, it was a game that for years I kind of stressed. Like, I would have, and actually probably would have made an argument for it to belong on the top 10 because it is now playable on current hardware.
Mhm.
Um, but originally, like, I had a real problem with that because it just wasn't available. But and
Right.
again, that was like sort of like the top 100 was like a different beast because some of that was like one of the criteria was like it has to be playable in some way, shape, or form, um, or fairly like access was a big concern. And with this, it's like I don't care. Accessibility is what it is, but it is again, it's available on modern consoles. So
Mhm.
um, this is this is kind of like what I would call like a bit of a pivotal game for me in the sense that you like I had a handful of games and all of them will be on this list that foundationally changed how I approached video games in
Yeah.
general. And I think one of
Yeah.
the things that Lenneth did for me is that in some ways it was like this quasi turn-based RPG, but it's kind of like it's comparable to like a lot of recontextualized RPGs for me, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's this really kind of weird esoteric story behind all of it. Like, it's like, it's about Ragnarok, and you talked about all the different, like, there's a bunch of different secrets in Mega Man X. There's like, in order to get the best possible ending, in Valkyrie Profile Lenneth, you have to, like, there's a bunch of things that you have, there are a number of things that you have to do exactly right. And it's not like incredibly
Okay.
difficult to do those things, but you anyways, but it's just a game that completely recontextualized JRPGs for me, and sort of actually turned me on to this idea. It's like, I actually love games that sort of subvert genres or expectations. Like, I love, um I'm not going to make any bones about it. Expedition 33 didn't make my top 10. I love that game. I think it's a
Okay.
brilliant game. Um and I think that in a lot of ways it's doing for people what Valkyrie Profile Lenneth did for me, where it's kind of like it's expanding that particular genre for them. And it's kind of challenging a lot of things and saying, like, they are this thing, but they can be more as well. And so I have a real sort of fondness for those games that kind of, it's the same thing, but it's more. And so Valkyrie Profile Lenneth is like, it's a weird game. It has a weird story. But it's got all these like really interesting systems. And that when it finally just clicked for me, I just was fascinated with it in a way that I haven't been about most games. Um, and so and it's why I am deeply embittered with Square Enix, because they have squandered that
Yeah.
property. They have
Mm-hmm.
just, it's the things they have done to that property, just disgusting.
Tarnished. Yeah.
They've just besmirched it. But anyways, yeah, I think Valkyrie Profile Lenneth is a bit of a treasure. And yeah, so, and it's a game that I've kind of wanted to go back and revisit, and so it's something that I might try to do it this year. Yeah,
Nice.
maybe we'll see. Yeah,
That's
there's
cool.
a lot of stuff going on, man. Like,
Right.
lots of
Yeah.
things.
Yeah,
So.
definitely. I mean, like, even taking a look at this list again, it's like, oh, I want to replay all these games. It's
Yeah.
crazy, except for some that I have played recently, which are here as well. But that's a good pick. I've never actually played it, but I've heard great things about it, and it makes me want to play it even more. Okay, so that is our bottom 5. Now we're down to the top 5. So my number 5, and the only series that appears twice on this list. My number 5 is The Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening. I love Link's Awakening. It was my first foray into the Legend of Zelda games. So it was formative in having me understand even kind of this idea of what an adventure game is. But as I look at the game today, I just think this game is perfectly balanced. It's sprawling. You have this whole world to explore, but it's also a bite-sized world. So yes, you have tons of places to go, but it is in a handheld format, so it's not unwieldy. It's small enough to where you can actually, and I was a kid, you could memorize where things are in the world, not just vaguely, but almost specifically what squares different things are at, which will help you along in your adventure when you're trading items, when you're talking to different people. I think the tone of this game is endearing. I love how wacky it is, but wacky doesn't sum it up well, because there's a real heart behind it.
I'd say I'd use the word whimsy. It's
Yeah.
whimsical.
Yes. Yeah. I agree. It is whimsical, and it has references to other games, and for people who know video games more. When I first played this game, I didn't have much of a reference to some of the things that are in this game. But it even references a title. There's a character from The Frog for Whom the Bell Tolls, which is a Japanese only game. So I love Link's Awakening. I do think there's some difficulty, in the game. It's of its time. It's difficult, but I do think it's fair as well. It teaches you how to play, and you're able to, you have a nice a number of different abilities and things that you gain as most Zelda games do. So it is my favorite Zelda game. It was my first, and I think it'll always be my favorite because I have other ones on this list that I really enjoy as well. But I just love everything about it. And I love the fact that it is, like I said, just a bite-sized experience. It's one you can take with you on the go. It doesn't feel like you have to dump your whole life into it. Yeah, and I love it. So Link's Awakening is my number 5.
Cool. It's, again, a very formative game for you, and
Yep.
my number 5 was also an incredibly formative game for me.
Okay.
It's a game that was on our original top 100 list because I fought tooth and nail to make sure. I actually tried to push it, I think, a lot higher. It's original. It's Dragon Warrior for the NES, or Dragon Quest, the original Dragon Quest 1.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Like, this game is probably the video, like this and the original Legend of Zelda. Those two games are probably single-handedly responsible for me really falling in love with the medium. I yeah, the original like Dragon Warrior, original Dragon Quest 1, whatever. I'm just gonna call it. I don't know it. I haven't played the remake, but it is one of those things that I'm kind of like very very keen to do so.
Sure.
I know I've heard some people say like it's hard, but I think the reality is like that it's not a great video game in the sense that like other Dragon Warriors are better. Like, frankly, I debated whether or not to put Dragon Quest 11 on here. Oh,
that was weird.
Dipped out there for a second there.
Yeah, sorry.
No, it's all right. I was like, ugh. But I debated on whether or not to put Dragon Quest 11 on here because, frankly, I think Dragon Quest 11 S is the best Dragon Quest game.
I agree.
But for me, the original Dragon Warrior was like, that was it. It's like that is like a core gaming memory for me.
Yeah.
And in a lot of ways, I wouldn't be doing this here with you, I think, if not for original Dragon Warrior.
Yeah.
And so, like, to me, this is just like one of the most. This is one of like 2 or 3 games that is like has just radically changed my journey. Like, I liked Mario Brothers, but between and I liked Legend of Zelda. I liked Legend of Zelda a lot, but there was something about Dragon Warrior that just completely captured me. And so I just like, yeah, it's Dragon Warrior. It's the original Dragon Quest. Like yeah. So that's nice. My number 5, man.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think I think I have similar feelings to the original Final Fantasy, in one that it kind of changed, the way that I looked at just RPGs. It introduced me to an RPG, and I loved it to death. And I played that one before I played Dragon Warrior, so it's more formative for me. But I also have a hard time, because I love other games in the series, and I love them even more than that. But that was that formative game for me, so. That's really cool. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Dragon Warriors, number 5. Okay, so number 4 for me is Persona 3 FES. This game is a game about wrestling with your mortality. And it actually ends well. Like I've played. I mean, we've talked about it throughout the course of this
Mhm.
podcast of games that deal with really heavy themes and kind of are an antithesis to what I actually believe, or just don't stick the landing. Like they present questions, but they don't present good answers. And I think this one actually has a a a decent answer, if that makes sense. It's not as though it is an altogether Christian game. However, there are themes that are that give that point towards uh well, I don't want to spoil anything, but I will say that sacrifice for others is held in high regard in this game. And you see that throughout different characters, and it comes to a head at the end of the game. So, this is one that I think even replaying it and talking about it, the episode that we did with Wes, kind of cemented this as one of my favorite games because it's not just the main. There are, I mean, sure, there are flaws with the game. It's not an absolutely perfect game, but I think the way that it hits the theme from different perspectives throughout the game is done extremely well. And the fact that you get different stories of different people's lives going through loss, going through pain and hardship, and then also grappling with, hey, the end of the world is happening as well. Yeah, it's a
Mhm.
wacky teenage anime story, but that's the wrapping of it. And some of the characters aren't great, like some of your main cast. However, the fact that they can bolster the theme of the game even with non-playable characters, and some of the mechanics in Fess as well, kind of show what some of the characters are thinking that really as I sit back and I think about even just some formative experiences in video games for me, this was one of them. Even as an adult, the way that it could tell that story from different angles, and it was impactful. And so Persona 3 Fest is number 4 on my list here.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I did when we played well, I played the Persona 3 remake
Hmm.
and I yeah, it's probably my favorite Persona game.
Hmm.
Uh it's an amazing cast. Um I think like the subject matter is yeah, it's yeah, that's it's a good one. That is a good one.
I like it.
Um so you went a little dark.
I did, yeah.
I'm gonna go even darker. My number 4 is
Oh,
Dead Space, dude.
okay, okay. Now I was like, "What, Nier Automata?" No, Dead Space, cool.
We're and I think this is one of those things that like I don't know that it has anything really substantial to say. It's a horror survival game.
Mhm,
Um and this is kind of like the game that I credit for getting me really into the survival horror genre.
mhm.
Um I think the Ishimura is just a fascinating set piece. The I forget, they're not xenomorphs. Oh, whatever, the space zombie necromorphs.
There
The
you go. I knew it was
necromorphs
Morph, yeah,
are
Necromorph.
they're a really fascinating enemy. And just like the way that you dispatch them is not by, it's like the game is like, no, you actually need to blow off their limbs. And I know that's like
Mhm,
comparable to Bloodborne. It's really like it is very visceral. Um,
yeah.
but it's a game where like I think the music and the sound design are just absolutely just stellar. Like yeah. So it's I don't know, man. It's not really big dumb fun. Um because frankly it's kind of terrifying at times, but I love that game. It's one of those like it's just a core game for me. Um I'm I'm gunning to try and play it and the Dead Space remake and the Resident Evil 4 remake this October. I'd like to do both of
Okay.
them. I know that's a little ambitious, but I'd like to
Yeah.
tackle both of those this October. So yeah, it's Dead Space, and it's like it was kind of like a little bit of a wrestling match. It was like this or RE4 because both of like I played them around the same time, but this is the one that kind of got me. Like this is the one that really got me. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. It's a great game. Love Dead Space. So
yeah,
I'm glad.
pretty awesome.
Glad it made it on the list. All right. Number 3 for me, and I'm surprised to even hear myself say it. Number 3 for me is Final Fantasy VI. Okay. Final Fantasy VI is, well, if you know me in the past, I've always wrestled with it as my number 1 game. But as I made this list, it has now seated itself at number 3. Final Fantasy VI has amazing music. It has a fantastic cast of characters. It has some truly mind-blowing moments in some of the places that the game goes. I think you talked about formative moments in video games when the bad guy wins 3/4 of the way through the game and you have to rebuild your team and half of them are demoralized. It was
and there's an opportunity to actually lose one of them permanently.
Yeah. I mean,
Dude.
that's what I love about this game. And it's a game that it doesn't make sense on paper why you wouldn't have a main character, because there's a dozen main characters in this game. Maybe not that many, but you could make an argument for half the cast being main characters. And yet it works. It works. As I sit back and I look at this list, the only things that hold it back is that the game can be a little messy at times, in that, look, not everyone in the cast is a 10 out of 10. There are some throwaway characters in there. They have a part to play, most of them. I think 2 of them are just kind of like joke characters, but most of them have a part to play, but they're not great characters in and of themselves. In addition to that, because of the magic system, you can basically make most, if not all of the characters feel the same and play the same. And that's basically what I did when I beat it. Just teach all your characters Ultima and then just cast Ultima and, multicast it and whatever. So, and overall, the game is pretty easy overall, but that's fine. I don't mind that. So it's only because of the bit of messiness that it's fallen down in my estimation, and because I love the other 2 games that are coming up later. I still hold this game in really high regard. Playing Theater Rhythm Barline and listening to some of the songs, oh man, it brings back just playing Celis's theme. I'm like, man, what a great character, and just tragic. And anyways, yeah, I love this game. It's my number 3, Final Fantasy VI.
Okay. This makes me a little nervous to know, like, there's some stuff missing, and I think we might have a little bit of conflict, but we'll see.
Okay.
We'll see.
Okay. Yeah,
We'll
that's
see.
fair. That's fair.
So my number 3, I'm hopeful that we'll actually play it this year. It is a patron nomination. But I would be remiss. Like there's a franchise that I've talked about, but it's Legend of Zelda Wind Waker. And
okay, yep.
Like for me, this is kind of like one, like the series, like Legend of Zelda. Again, it's a formative series for me, but I think Wind Waker is just like the high water mark. And I know that you really like Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, but like and I'm not trying to be. There was like when they originally debuted Toon Link, there was a lot of like, oh, this sucks. This is like, and it's like, I actually thought like the character design was fairly charming. I wasn't thrilled about it because, like, yeah, of course, like you want like a more realistic Link, right? Like that's kind of like that's where just like everything was trending. But I
Right.
remember sort of like not hating it, thinking, oh, like this is kind of cute. It reminded me a lot of like Saturday morning cartoons kind of thing. And I
Mhm.
actually like the more I played it, I was like, no, I actually really like this vibe. Um, it's a game that I know the default version has some like pacing with like there's a lot of times where you just I kind of love the sailing, and I'm
Okay.
not saying that it's because it's good because frankly I'm actually pretty embittered that we're not getting the uh the high def remake
Mhm.
from the Wii U
The
era,
Wii U, yeah.
because like there was basically quality of life stuff that they introduced to circumvent, like to basically deal with the problems.
Sure.
um but uh but yeah, I love Wind Waker. I think when again the models are gorgeous. I think it just sort of is like it is the high watermark for Legend of Zelda. And it's like I
Mm.
really struggled with Twilight Princess because like I recognize like the epic nature of it and everything else, but it just felt like too much. You know, like when I was talking about Final Fantasy
Yeah,
9, right?
I get that.
And I said like there's sort of a whimsy to it. It takes itself seriously, but not too seriously. I think again, Wind Waker kind of does that thing where it's like it takes itself seriously. There are real stakes, but there's also like a sort of a lightness and a sweetness to it that I think can't be overstated. So I yeah, I would say like there are sequences that are really like drawn out and you're like, oh, I wish they had done this better.
Mhm.
You know, or
Sure.
not maybe even sequences, but like there's a specific part of the game that I'm thinking about where I'm just like, oh, I'm not looking
Oh, yeah,
like,
yeah. Mhm.
but um, anyways, I love that game. I think, and even sort of like with the sailing thing, there is, and I've said this before about this game, but I think there's something sort of really special about like only almost the loneliness that the
Mm.
game. Yes, you have the is it the Red King? Um,
Mhm.
or the Red Lion is the name of the
Yeah.
boat. You have the Red Lion, and it's a magic boat, and it docks to you. Spoilers, but like there's sort of something really to me pressing and kind of not oppressing, just pressing. Like it just kind of like pushes into you a little bit, like the lonely, like it captures sort of like the loneliness of like being on the high seas kind of thing. I don't know. I've never
Mhm.
been on the high seas, so maybe it's just like, but I don't know. It just that game does a few things, and I think it just kind of like it's a game that just hits me. And again, it's sort of like it's very Legend of Zelda, but it's also wildly different than anything that came before it. Like,
Mhm.
you know, so yeah,
Yeah.
it's Wind
Yeah.
Waker, man.
Yeah. And Wind Waker is great. That's a great choice. It's a great
Mhm.
choice. And even now I get what you're saying, like taking a look at these lists, because you've already mentioned what one of the games is going to be. And so I'm wondering where, uh, if and when our fight is going to break out over one of these next games. But as we climb to the top here, my number 2 favorite game of all time is Xenoblade Chronicles 3.
Okay, we
Xenoblade
dodge.
Chronicles
We
3.
we're dodging a bullet here. We're dodging a bullet.
Well, I don't know. I don't know about that.
But
We'll
like,
see. It
yeah,
depends
you
on
still
what your
have.
number 2 is, because
Yeah,
your number 2 might be my number 1.
I
That's what
think
I'm fearing.
I'm a little scared that it might be.
um, Xenoblade Chronicles 3, there's so much to say about it, but what it all boils down to is I think it is the best told story in any video game that I've ever played. The way that the story unfolds, the way that the characters grow, the way that you have lots of different antagonists throughout the campaign that all um, are sympathetic to a point, but they're still evil. It's not the
Mhm.
sympathetic villain that therefore they should just get a hug and then they'll be a good guy. No, no, they're still evil, but you understand why they're evil and why they make the decision that they made. And and it's just done so well. It's an enormous game. It takes a long time to finish, and throughout that long time, it builds upon itself. That it takes that time to suss out the characters and the themes that are going on. So, um, it might not be the best story ever told, but ever in video games, but it is the best told story. The way that it kind of builds the story. I was going to say drip feeds the story, but that makes it sound negative. The way that it continuously builds, even as you stop, to rest for an evening and you have conversations just among your 6-character party. And the themes that they tackle are heavy, and they ring true in a number of different ways, in ways that I think other games might have a hard time with. It is a very pro-life video game, put it that way. Which is funny in a game where your characters only have 10 years to live, and then you find out later what happens to them. So, anyways, Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is a fantastic experience. It's my number 2 favorite game of all time.
So this is the kind of do or die moment, and we're about to find out if there's going to be conflict and drama.
Yeah.
Let's just take a moment to let the tension.
I'm afraid there is.
Okay.
I'm afraid
my
there
number
is.
2 is arguably the greatest RPG of all time.
Yep.
It's Chrono Trigger.
Yes, it is. Oh. Yep.
Oh boy. So we're gonna have to figure out what we're gonna do here.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, I'll lay out my case. You lay out your case. We'll talk about it together, and we're gonna have to figure this out. It's really tough because it's your number 1.
It's my number 1.
But I'm also, and in just full disclosure, I'm looking at it, it's like, man, I didn't fight you on Final Fantasy VI. I was like, I saw you pull that, and I was like, oh, maybe he'll leave me Chrono Trigger. And I was like, maybe he'll let me have that. But you did not.
It wasn't on your. What are you talking about? You didn't give me anything.
No,
we haven't had to fight over anything.
No. I was like, the Final Fantasy VI almost made my list.
Yeah.
It's because I think it's great, but I was like, so, I mean, dude, Chrono Trigger. It's just like, this is. I wondered. That was like, I was looking at my list and I said that might be the one.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought everything else on my list. I thought maybe Hades. Again, because I know you were pretty high on it.
Right. Yep.
This is just like, I think it sort of is like just absolutely the best RPG of all time, and it's not because it's super profound or in depth. I think on it, it's like it's actually pretty simple. There are a lot of moving parts, but it's not that complex. I also think the fact it's short and sweet. It's like 20 hours to beat it.
Yep.
It's highly replayable, but then there's all the interesting wrinkles with just, again, sort of like the time and everything else. And it's just kind of, it's a perfect encapsulation of that era, which in some ways I think really was the high water mark for turn-based RPGs. I think there's a reason why people sort of, I wouldn't say clamor, but I think everybody who's ever been a Square Enix fan is just desperately waiting for some sort of Chrono Trigger remake. I mean, it was oh, daggone it. It was the dream team. The Sakamoto, Sakamoto, Sakaguchi. It was Nobuo Uematsu. It was Akira Toriyama on character design. I mean, dude, it was, and I've just said the sprite work in this game is
Yes.
immaculate.
Yep. Yep.
Like just immaculate. Like
and it was unique for RPGs. You know, it didn't
Dude.
have the Final Fantasy style of kind of the blocky characters, which I love as well, but it did something different and knocked it out of the park.
It did something with placement, like your placement on the screen like mattered, the enemy's placement on the screen mattered, like active turn battle actually meant something. You know, it was just, oh dude, it was so good. I think and there were so many things. Like I remember when you get like introduced to like the combos, like the cross combos, where it's like you can like pair up
double
and
text.
do like dude. And then when it's like, oh, there's triptychs too. Like there's like, and you're like, what?
I need to learn all of these.
And if you have this item, you can actually, and like there are triptychs that are like hidden, triple texts that are hidden, you know, but that you need to have certain items. And it's just like, oh dude, it was just like the coolest game. And I mean, the design is perfect on it. Like it's just, man. So now.
I mean, I could echo all of those sentiments. It's so true. What I have just written down in my notes is that everything in this game fits so perfectly. That there's no wasted time. There's no, sections where it's like, oh, this is a little blight on the rest of the game. Like, no, it all works together. You mentioned the pixel art. And I think both, that's what I've written down is the art for this game. Both the illustrations and the pixel design is so good. The way that they translate it to pixels. And so I'm afraid of when they inevitably remake the game of like, is it going to have the same charm? I don't know, because this one is just so perfect as it is. Music is amazing. What's it? Yoshinori Mitsuda? No, is that his name? Yoshinori? I don't remember. Is it Mitsuda? Or is that the Final Fantasy Tactics guy? I could be wrong.
I think that's the Tactics guy, but I'm not 100% on any.
Oh yeah, Yasunori Mitsuda. Yes, that is his name. Who also does Xenoblade, but he does a number of different things. This was like his first foray into it, and it's just so, I mean, all the music in this game is great. The mechanics are great. The characters and the motivations, and I feel like every time I go back to the game, I pick up on something I had missed. I've been going through Greek myths with my son, and the character of Janus pops up. And Janus is this character that has two faces. And it represents. It doesn't represent being like two-faced in the way that we think of nowadays, like being devious, being underhanded, but it represents hiding your true self. And I was like, dang it, I never caught that, because Magus is Janus, is Janus, it's this kid running around. Oh man. So they're, hiding things in plain sight like that, like that I hadn't caught, but it's so good. The time travel, like they actually make time travel make sense in this game. And having it be meaningful and building it into, the effects, the cause and effects that you have in the world. You get to see it during these different times. The multiple endings that there are. Even this was the first New Game Plus game, and they just stinking knocked it out of the park with the way that they do that, and by beating the last boss at different times throughout the game. It really, to me, comes down to the fact that there's no wasted time throughout the game. And that, like you said, it's not the most amazing story ever told, but it is there, like there's no fat throughout the game. There's no bloat throughout the game. It's all done so well. And so, it has not moved as my favorite game since I first made this list.
Yeah. No, I'm hard pressed to push for it. The one thing I will sort of say is like, it'll be interesting, because I think one of the potential categories that we are talking about is like the game. So like the best RPG, and I'm
Mhm.
wondering like if like we'll have to like, yeah.
At that,
Well,
yeah, I could see at that point having it vacate my list from my top 1,
yeah.
and then we would both be at then we'd both have to give it up at that point. Because
But
you're gonna have to give it up today, but then next
yeah,
time I'll give it.
I think because it is your number one game,
Uh-huh.
and I mean, I was tempted to be like, dude, your list is so JRPG heavy. Just let me
It
have a
really is,
couple.
yeah.
Like it was like, why don't you give me this one? I'll take
Mhm.
like the best one, and you can have the rest of that tripe.
Yeah.
Um,
It just feels
um,
wrong to debut my list when number 1 isn't on there.
yeah, no, and like I said,
But I mean, it's a number 2 for you, so.
I think it like that it was like I was like, oh, we're dodging bullets, we're dodging bullets, we're dodging bullets. And then as we got closer to the top, I was like, oh no,
It's
I know what
inevitable.
this is. It's like this is the conflict.
Yeah.
So jeepers cats. So now we're gonna have to like I'm gonna have to do something here. I do have runners up, and I've
Mhm.
gotta like think about this, but I'm just gonna take a second here. I'm gonna my number one is obviously Shadow of the Colossus. Like
Yeah.
I said it was
Yeah.
on my list. Um, I think this is like the game that has single-handedly really defined my relationships with games more
'Kay.
than any other game. Um, I love the sort of the design by deletion, where it's just you just keep like you basically like, and when the design philosophies of this game was like they build out all sorts of stuff, and they just kept taking away pieces and kept taking away pieces and kept taking away pieces, and then what you get at the end is this like super clean, super minimal sort of thing. The storytelling is interesting, it's a little esoteric, it's not even inaccessible, but like there's a kind of like this grand mystery, and then just the way that the game sort of like, even from the very beginning, where it's like, you come across that first colossi, and you're just like, or the first colossus really, and like you're climbing it, and it's like it's sort of this adventure, and then you kill it, and it's like, oh, I don't like the way that this feels.
Mhm.
Like this, everything just kind of like feels off, and just like the way that the game, um yeah, I think it's kind of like, I think if we do a games as art list, it's going to be really hard for me to like let go
Figure
of
out
it.
where. Yeah.
Yeah, because I do think it is single-handedly one of the best, if not the best, sort of like example of like games as art. It's pretty easily, I think, the not the earliest. I think there were probably other like, games that were probably venturing into this stuff, but I think it's like one of the earliest best it's one of the best earliest examples. Like
Yeah.
there are probably games before this that were trying to sort of like wrestle with this and ask questions of this, but I think this just early on, this game, like the PS2 version of this game, established itself as sort of being noteworthy.
Mhm.
And I think with the PS4 remake and everything else, it's just, yeah.
And I think there's something to be said about the subtlety. Like, it doesn't bash you over the head
Yeah,
with
yeah,
because
yeah.
because there are other games that are much more preachy about, oh, you shouldn't actually be shooting people. You shouldn't actually want to fight people in a video game.
Yeah.
And I think there's some subtlety here that like again, it's that sympathetic character. Like you understand why he
Mhm.
made his decisions. Not good decisions. Not a good character,
Yeah.
but you
Yeah.
understand why. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I
it's
think
good.
like it's just it's kind of a really masterful game in the sense that like, because like even sort of like those like, I remember talking about this with Micah years ago, and it just
Mhm.
like the music in this, and it's like that first
Yeah.
time that you get like that first Colossus again, like it's like
Yeah.
this like swell, and it's like adventurous, and it's like, oh, here's the big challenge, And then after you do the deed, it gets real melancholy. And you're like, what do you do? Don't do that. It's like, don't make that sound. Like, no. And it's like, and then things kind of happen the way they do. And you're like, oh, I don't feel very good about this.
Yeah.
And, yeah. So, okay. Oh boy.
I wonder if
that's
we
my
need
number
like
one.
Yeah.
That's my number one. Oh, now I gotta think here.
Figure out how we're gonna do it. Well, while you're thinking about that, should I share my runners up?
Yeah, good. Kind of run through your
mentions.
runners up here.
Yeah. So I've got 6 of them because I'm insane. And I like your dig that it's our JRPG heavy, which, hey, the first one's a JRPG. It's Octopath Traveler. I love the game. It probably has the best modernized JRPG mechanics. Like, I love the break and boost system. I love the jobs and then even the double jobs that you get later on. The game has one of my favorite soundtracks of all time. But I also admit it is rough around the edges with its story content and even with that final boss rush. So it has its problems, but it is near and dear to my heart. And I love it. And I'm going to play its sequel in the coming year. So, which I've heard is even better. So maybe that one will make the list and we'll have to kick something off. I don't know.
Dude, I've actually been hearing things about Zero.
Yeah?
I've heard like there are a lot of people who are like, nope, this is the best one.
Really?
We can talk about it later, but it's because it's part of the problem with Octopath is that the fact that like it's 8 separate stories,
right?
And I think there's just sort of a problem, especially in the first one, in bringing those all together and making them feel like it's a coherent narrative. There's like some weirdness there, and it's because of like the way that the game's built. But Zero doesn't have that problem because it isn't quite like that. But anyways,
right, yeah, nice. Next runners up, runner up, an honorable mention, which is kind of funny that it wasn't on our list because it was our number one. Back when we had the top 100, is Super Mario Brothers 3. Okay. You mentioned before we started the list of evergreen games, and I think this is like the pinnacle, like absolutely
it is the evergreen game.
Yeah. I think it also works as a great introduction to video games. My son loves the game. He hasn't beaten it, but he's played a bunch of it, and so because Yoshi's Island wasn't technically a Mario game until it came to America. It's not actually Super Mario World 2. They just called that in America to get some more sales. Super Mario Bros. 3 is technically my favorite Mario game. And at least my favorite Mario game where you play as Mario through, most of the game. So Mario 3 is one that I was like, like all 6 of these games I can't believe aren't on my top 10. It's crazy. But Mario 3. After that came Castlevania Symphony of the Night. Symphony of the Night is just cool. You feel cool playing it. It sounds cool. Your attacks pack a punch. It's goofy at times. Like, it has a good sense of humor, but it's also just stinking cool, and it makes you feel cool. I don't understand how they perfected this style of game, this specialized kind of Castlevania game. The first time they tried it. But it just feels so good to play. There's so many different, weapons and things and, powers and roaming around. It's just so cool.
Have you ever played any of the GBA?
Oh yeah.
Castlevanias?
Yep.
I think that they're almost as good.
Yeah.
Like
in mechanics, in things, there are a number, like, they are all very good games, but Symphony of the Night, I think, is the best of them.
Yeah.
If not for the fact that even just it looks better. But some of them add some weird Like the one on DS adds, drawing
No,
things
the
on the screen or something
drawing.
like that,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
not a big deal. It's not a big deal. I'm just saying,
Mhm.
like, the win goes to Symphony of the Night. Because, yeah, every
Mhm.
other one that I've played has been good as well. They're good games. Right under that is Hollow Knight. Again, I can't believe it didn't make my list because I love the game. It's like a Dark Souls meets Metroidvania. It's
Mhm.
a wonderfully crafted video game. It has a haunting soundtrack. Love the music in the game. It has tight, riveting gameplay. It's white knuckle, get your pulse pounding. The only reason that it's lower than Symphony of the Night is because, as I think about approaching it again, it's just a daunting game. Whereas
Yeah.
Symphony of the Night is easier to kind of slip into, if that makes sense.
Well,
Hollow Knight feels like you have to dedicate time to it.
yeah. I mean, like Symphony of the Night is fairly accessible. It's
Mhm.
not super long. I think it's like 10 to 15 hours to beat it. Maybe 20 to 25 to do like the 200%,
Sure. Yep.
But yeah, I could be wrong on that. That just like, but Hollow Knight is like, oh, if you're not ready to dump like 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 hours in that game, you're not gonna make it.
Mhm.
And it's not that I even think like, I think like it's hard. I think the biggest thing is the skill curve.
Yeah.
Like the game itself probably isn't that long. Like
Mhm.
it'd be interesting to see like how like almost like a speed run of
Speedrunners.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, like um but yeah, anyways. Yeah. No, I was wondering if Hollow Knight was going to make our list or not.
Yeah.
And now that's kind of like making me think.
Yeah.
Yeah, Hollow Knight's actually one that like it's sort of in my honorable mentions list, but like if I'm being honest, like the farther out we get from that, yeah, it is like it's just so intense.
Mhm.
It's just like I'm gonna slap you around for a while, and I'm like, I love that game.
Yeah.
I love playing it, but it's like I just don't know if I have the time or patience for that kind of stuff
Mm.
anymore. You
Yeah.
know,
If it's
yeah,
the one game I'm focusing on, then cool. But like
yeah,
you said, you have to know, hey, you're going to be in it for a while.
mm-hmm,
In order to get good. The
mm-hmm,
last two on my honorable mentions were Hades, the aforementioned Hades.
mm-hmm,
Love that game. And then lastly was Shin Megami Tensei Devil's Survivor Overclocked. This one has been in my
mm,
top 10 before. I really, it has a really cool, interesting story that I was not expecting where it goes to. It has a lot of biblical allusions. It's not it's not a Christian video game. It's not like that, but some of the characters that show up that play kind of archetypical roles are kind of cool. The way that it plays itself out in ways that I didn't foresee. Love the mechanics as well. And yeah, cool story. And I'd like to replay it someday because it's been quite a while since I played it. But it used to be my favorite in that series. But now it's 5 and in Persona 3. So
mm,
those are my honorable mentions.
mm. I have a substantial amount of honorable mentions. Like these are games
Okay.
that I was kind of like almost made the cut.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy Tactics kind of almost
Okay.
made the cut.
Yep. Yep.
Um,
Great game.
it's like I said, Hollow Knight almost made the cut.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, Resident Evil 4 almost made the cut.
Okay.
Slay the Spire almost made the cut.
Mm-hmm.
The Last of Us kind of almost made the cut.
Okay.
Expedition 33, BioShock, God of War 2018, Spider-Man 2018, Alan Wake, Control, Dragon Quest Builders, Dragon
Okay.
Quest
Yeah.
11S.
Yep.
Yeah, like where like it is kind of like where a lot of people were Final Fantasy kids. I'm coming to terms with the fact that I like Final Fantasy, but like if
Mm-hmm.
you like you're holding a gun to my head and saying you got to pick between Dragon Warrior or Dragon Quest and Final Fantasy, I'm like, I'll play Dragon Quest. Like,
Yeah.
cool. Like, yeah. Um, and then it's funny, kind of like Metroidvanias. We don't have any of them in our either one of our lists,
Oh yeah.
and so I'm kind of like, is it Symphony of the Night? Is it Hollow Knight? But if I'm being honest, my favorite Metroidvania, and I kind of thought about putting this in the list, and so this might become my number 10. It's Metroid Zero Mission for the GBA.
Okay.
Basically it's a remake of the very first Metroid game, with a lot of quality of life stuff. It's really gorgeous, it's a really gorgeous game on the GBA. I mean, I love the GBA. I'm a little torn here, because like the reality is, like, yeah, Chrono Trigger, I'm just not even gonna fight you on that. Like, I'm sad that I lost it.
Yeah.
But it's your number one, and it's like, yeah. Now, if it was at my number one spot, then we'd have a lot more, like, I think, like, sort of
right, yeah. Then what do you do? I don't know.
It'd be some pushing and pulling there, but
yeah.
Because, like, I think, like, I put Maneater on here. I don't know if you remember that game.
Oh, the shark game?
Sort of a weird game where it was like,
it
was a shark. They called it a shark PG.
Yes.
But it was sort of like, and I think that game is hysterical and kind of delightful. And it just, for whatever reason, I was like, oh, this is like, I love that game. I was like, this is so dumb, and I love it. Like I said, there's a part of me that, like, Expedition 33 almost could have made it. Because, like, there's also a part of me, it's like, I want it kind of like Marvel Snap or Slay the Spire, because I love card games.
Right.
And I really do like those games. Like, if I'm being honest, like, Control, Alan Wake, Spider-Man, God of War, The Last of Us, like, I'm looking at all of them, and it's like, I love those games. And there's a part of me that wouldn't mind if they were on my list, but it's like, this is my top 10 list. And you know what I'm saying? It's like,
oh yeah.
Control, it might, because I do really like Control. It's weird, and but I also I feel like I've got that with Death Stranding. I've got that with, like, oh geez,
Yeah, I was surprised at a few games that didn't pop up for me too, because, like, even we talk about formative experiences, and something like Nier Automata. As I was thinking about my list, it didn't ever cross my mind as like, oh yeah, this is a top 10 game, but it is one that is very impactful.
Yeah, I looked at it and I considered it, but it's like, I think the further out we get away from it, I think there's a lot of real masterful stuff when it comes to that game. I just, frankly, again, I just sort of being so sort of frustrated with that ending, where it's like, well, none of it really matters, but we're going to sort of like scream our defiance at the void. And I'm like, I mean, it's like exactly pretty much how I feel about Outer Wilds, where, like, none of this matters, but we're going to do it anyways. It's like, oh.
I would, my rebut to that is that I think it's actually a theme that bubbles under the surface and gradually grows bigger and bigger and bigger the further you get into the game. Whereas Outer Wilds, it felt like it came from left field for me personally. I think that's the whole game, the whole Nier Automata was leading to that. In a way that, like, the first time you roll credits, it intentionally, like, makes fun of you, like, okay, you wanted this, so this is what you're getting. And then the rest of the game shows how, like, meaningless that was. Anyways, so I think I agree. I think there's some masterful things about that game, but it's not one that I would say is one of my favorites. Like, I can go back to it all the time. Like, no, it certainly was a formative experience, but it's not.
I played it once.
Yeah.
And that was exactly how many times I will probably ever play it.
Yeah. And I still like I'm still even though I'm fond of like the characterization, I still am creeped out by the lack of clothes that the female robots are wearing. Do you know what I mean? Like it's just creepy that they decided to make them so scantily clad.
Yeah.
Not all of them all the time, but it's like clearly. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't I think I'm just gonna like I guess it's just gonna be a placeholder and I'm just gonna pull the trigger here. I'm gonna make it Metroid Zero Mission. And
Okay.
so
Okay.
like it's kind of weird that we're coming at this from the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
But why it's like I think I played Metroid on the NES, never beat it. Because the game is just obscenely hard on the NES unless you are psycho and drawing out maps on graph papers and stuff like that. So it was never like it wasn't really like even a blip on my radar. But then when and I think too like this sort of captures the time. I actually played I played this when I was deployed overseas. I actually played Wind Waker when I was overseas as well. But yeah, I bought a second GameCube just to play Wind Waker while I was deployed. Yeah, but I had a Game Boy Advance, and I had two. I bought when I came home on leave. I bought a second one to replace my first one because I had basically worn it out.
Oh wow!
I mean, you're in the middle of a desert. You're playing a Game Boy, like
yeah,
dust and crud and anyways, but I had a handful of games for my GBA, and I just remember just kind of, I would say Metroid, like Zero Mission kind of opened up Metroidvanias to me. Like I had played, I think I had played some Castlevania Symphony in the Night, hadn't beaten it at that point in time, right? But I had played it. But like Zero Mission was what, like, again, I think just opened up the door for me where it's like, oh no, like I really do like these games. There's sort of like again, it's like a little bit of mystery. I like the progression and how it's, I remember being fascinated with like how like you could only open certain doors or access certain areas with abilities, combat abilities and stuff like that. And I just remember so I'm going to just say, yeah, I think that actually, I think that kind of works for now.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to re-examine this, but yeah,
sure.
We'll make Metroid Zero Mission.
All right.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, there's our top 10 personal games lists. I like it. I think they're fun, eclectic lists that are clearly tailor-made to each one of us.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, it's a shame that you have such good taste.
At least with one game.
At least with one game.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sad for me.
I'd
like to say I'm happy for you, but I'm just sad for me.
I get it. And you are a gentleman to let it go so easily. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, the whole time we were talking, I was like, oh, please let him just let me have
Forget about
just let me have it. Just let me have it.
Just give it to me. Just give it to me.
Just I want it.
Just
come on,
my hand right now. Yeah. Anyways, well, that's our first two top 10s down, but we'll be filling
8 more
out
to go.
Yeah, throughout the course of 2026.